Steel-toed boots and a hard hat, you know what that means. It's time for a construction tour. It's Jeff and Nick. We are at Canada's Wonderland. It's time for your first look at the construction of Yukon Striker. We're with Peter Switzer, Director of Construction and Maintenance. Let's go have a look. Right behind me is Yukon Striker's station. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here, Peter.
So this section of track is the station element. You can see what we call the combs. Those are the fingers that fill in the gaps between the coaches where people load and unload.
And that's what makes the train floorless.
Exactly.
Right.
We've also got what is called the hoop-de-doo.
I like that term.
That's a technical term.
Okay, we're reporting that new element, the hoop-de-doo.
That section of track joins the station to the bottom of the lift. So our guests will enter to the right of the station through a staircase underneath the track. They'll come down here to my right and then up a flight of stairs and board on this side of the track.
Okay, we've come back around to the other side of the station. So Peter, what's going to be happening in this area?
So where we're standing will be approximately the main entrance, sort of behind Nick there. The main queue house will be down here to this side. And the exit ramp will come down off of this side of the station and make its way down there. The right foot will be down there past this other side of the blue crane. But this will be sort of a merge point for fast lane and regular queue. Fast lane will come in on this side and regular queue will come in on that side, and this will be the merge point.
All right, you are looking at the base of the lift hill for Yukon Striker, and it's absolutely massive. It's huge. So Peter, tell us a little bit about what we can see here and some of the things about the supports as well.
So this is the base of the lift. This is the main lift motor and gearbox that drives the chain that pulls the train up to the top of the lift. You can see the box beam coming down into this abutment with the anchor bolts. And this abutment is what takes basically the weight of the lift in that 47-degree angle down into the ground. Obviously the columns take some of that load as well, but this is where most of the load will be taken. We've got 4 large caissons underground here that connect to this cap, which makes up part of the abutment.
So part of the design is that the track is so much bigger and the supports can be spread out further. That's
right. So the deeper the beam, the longer your span can go.
All right, Peter, this is a massive, massive piece of track. Okay, can you tell us what we're looking at right here?
Sure, this is lift element section. It's 2 pieces bolted together.
Yeah.
So this will be the section of the track that will carry the train up to the top of the lift. We call it the lift. So this is in pre-assembly now before we hoist it. So we've got a lot of work to do to get it ready. So you can see these arms on the side. We've got catwalk or staircase that needs to go onto that. On the other side, same thing, another staircase and a handrail. Electricians need to have time to put conduit and cable tray on there, as we've got a large motor up top that we need to bring power to. We've also got sensors and switches up top that we need to run wire to. There's safety netting has to go on. Once all that's ready, the big crane behind me here or behind you will hoist that.
And all of that happens on the ground before the piece goes up and gets secured to the supports.
Exactly. So we do all that hard work down here on the ground where it's easy. We put a bunch of guys on it. We're not working at great heights. The weather's less of a concern when you're down here on the ground.
Okay, Peter, that's an enormous crane. Tell us about that.
So this crane's brought in to do the heavy lifting for the lift and top of the lift and the drop.
And how many cranes in total will it need to put up the coaster?
I think we're going to end up with 3. So we've got that 90-ton crane there now. There'll be another hydraulic crane. I think it's a 250-ton crane. And then this big one here, this 2750, will do the heavy lift supports.
Awesome. Okay, Peter, tell us about the order of construction. Obviously starting with the station, where do you go from there?
So we try to build the track in direction of travel. So once we leave the bottom of the lift, get to the top of the lift, get to the precipice, we start to build up from the bottom of the drop because we're going vertical. So we stack them just like building blocks. And then the last piece to go in is actually the precipice. I told you that earlier, but
Yeah.
it's the motor and gearbox is the last piece to go in. And then we continue in direction of travel through the course till we get back to the brake run.
Awesome. So it's like putting together a big Lego set.
Yep.
Yeah, in order. Awesome.
That's what my son says. Yeah.
Nice.
Just like Lego.
Okay, here it is, the infamous tunnel.
Yep.
The biggest, probably most complicated piece of engineering in all of Yukon Striker. Okay, tell us about this. When did construction start and what's involved in putting a tunnel under a lake?
We started the construction in January of this past year. The lake is actually a seasonal lake. So in the winter, we've got a dam just behind Windseeker there, and we just open up the dam and the lake drops elevation. We diverted the flow sort of around the construction site, or around the area of construction, and then we started in with the shoring system. So we had to put a shoring system in before we could start the excavation. Once that was in place, we dug it out, started the form work, poured all the concrete walls, and then we had to put all the shoring system in for the roof, pour the concrete deck for the roof, and then backfill it. So we still have some work to do in here. We got to pour these stairs, we got to put some handrails in and some guardrails. But other than that, we're substantially complete.
And you had 2 pieces of track, or 3 pieces of track,
4.
4 pieces of track here a year ago, before
they-
construction started on the ride to make sure it was in place.
That track arrived in January, yeah.
Okay, we're actually inside the tunnel, Yukon Striker's tunnel. We're here, this piece of track is inside the tunnel and it transitions up to the drop track. So, Peter, just standing here, you start to get an idea of how big this track actually is. So, what's the difference between this and, say, Leviathan?
Leviathan track, center to center on those rails, is about 1,200 millimeters. So 1.2 meters, about 4 feet. This one is about 1,800 millimeters, 1.8 meters, or about 6 feet in diameter. So it's about 50% bigger in track width, or track gauge we call it, than Leviathan.
And that's just massive. And that is to support the 8 seats across on the train.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap for our very first construction tour of Yukon Striker. Trust me, it is just the first. We will have more coverage to come. Lots and lots to see as they continue building the tallest, fastest, and longest dive coaster in the world right here at Canada's Wonderland. Thank you to Grace Peacock and Peter Switzer for giving us unrestricted access. You got to see that. That was pretty cool, right? And make sure if you want to ride Yukon Striker that you pick up your season's pass at canadaswonderland.com. Now, click on subscribe right below there. See that? It helps us, it helps you. Keep in touch. We'll see you soon.